no human being has reached a point of keeping the Sabbath until he or she has matured into a divine man or woman, so that that individual is no longer concerned with his own labors. Thou shalt not labor in the pattern of your own cycle of function, your own purposes, self-centeredness. We are allowed 6 days or 6 steps in the creative cycle to allow us to move from the state of the fallen realm to the state of restoration. 6 steps. But we cannot have the 5th day or the completion of the 3rd day even. We cannot have the 6th day fulfillment unless we let the first days have their true meaning. Now the Master said, "My Father and I are one." We are one. And he said, "Follow me." He, the outer, was completely at rest in the inner being, so that he was not laboring as a man. He was letting God do the works. "The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father who dwelleth in me, he doeth the works." Now, until we reach the point where we have followed him through these creative cycles to the point where we let the Father do the works, we have not fulfilled our initial mission on earth. We are not ready to begin to truly serve. Now let us correlate this with the basic fundamental principles that are revealed in relationship to the day of Pentecost. We see that the 4 forces were at work in their natural sequence. And after 10 days, they were all with one accord in one place. There came a sound as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. And there appeared, as if it were cloven tongues of fire, sitting upon each of them. Now, let us see clearly the pattern of manifestation in relationship to what our Lord pointed out would be the manifestation of power. For he said, "And ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Spirit is come upon you." Now, mankind today does not have that power. The churches do not have the power. They just talk about it, but it does not manifest. It began to manifest, but they violated the laws, the cycles, and threw it away. They allowed it to come to the point of the 4th day, but they violated the principles of the first 4 days and refused to let the 5th, 6th, and 7th days manifest. So it was not the fullness of the coming of Pentecost. They only thought it was. So the 6th, 5th, 6th, and 7th days did not manifest in relationship to the disciples. They didn't let it manifest. They threw the power away, and the churches since that time simply have not had it. Now it is time for us to let that power manifest. How shall we do it? By following out the cycles of creation. Water, with one accord in one place, and the moving, there came a sound as of what? A rushing mighty wind, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And it filled the whole house, earth, where they were sitting, and there appeared, as if it were, cloven tongues of fire sitting upon each of them. The 4 forces at work, clearly portrayed in relationship to the day of Pentecost. And they came in their right sequence: water, air, earth, and fire. But they did not let the cycle continue. They did not even let these fully manifest. They did not go to the 5th day, and then the 6th, and then the 7th, at which point they would have reached a state of oneness with the God which would have allowed them to carry on the work of our Lord on earth. But the work of our Lord has not been carried on on earth since he left. The disciples let it get part way to the fourth day, and then they spoiled it. They spoiled it, and the work of the Lord has not been done by any of the churches. It makes no difference. Not one of them on the face of the whole earth is letting the power of God manifest in any real sense. Not in the sense that the Lord intended. Why? Because they have not stopped to see the reality of the creative cycles, the magic of creation. They have not recognized our relationship to those cycles. They have not even seen how Peter spoiled it. The power disappeared almost at once, and yet they still imagine that Peter was doing a wonderful thing. He spoiled it. He did not do a wonderful thing. He led those who followed him into patterns which violated the laws of God and the creative cycle, and the power was lost. And man still does not have it. He's imagined that he had it, but he didn't. What he had was not the real manifestation of power, the power of God at work on earth. And it does not come until the reality of the day of rest. That is, when man goes through the cycle of restoration. This creative cycle, then, is something which must manifest through us. It is not something we can ignore and have the power. If we follow Peter of old in his impulsive nonsense, in his sacrilegious defiance of God's laws and principles, which the Master had clearly revealed to him, we will not have the power. There is only one way that that power can manifest, and that is according to these laws and principles of being. And so we begin to give heed to them. We begin to realize that until we pass through the third day, and we are just in the third day, and the fourth day, and the fifth day, and the sixth day, and come to the seventh, we will not have the power. We will not be in the Garden of Eden. We will not be letting the things which God has prepared in the future come into manifestation through us. Man has wandered around in the wilderness. He's had all kinds of fantastic concepts. He's followed fanatics. He's been governed by prejudice and fear, and has failed to let the will of God be done on earth as it is in heaven. He has failed to let the kingdom come. It is not here. They talk about a spiritual kingdom. It's not supposed to be here. It's just a spiritual kingdom. No, it's a kingdom on earth. Thy kingdom come into form on earth. So, until we realize these things and see what they did at the time of the day of Pentecost, why they failed, why the power was lost, we cannot go through the cycle successfully and let the power reappear. Now, this opportunity is open to any man or woman anywhere, at any time, if they will follow through in the cycle. But man has been trying to leap from the state of mere existence to the state of being a son or daughter of God. And since he couldn't do it while he lived, he imagined he did it when he died. And it's just foolishness, plain, simple foolishness. We must begin to realize that unless we individually and collectively take these steps, we are not going to have the manifestation of power. Once we see this cycle working in relationship to what the disciples did do, letting it start, they spoiled it, they threw it away, but it did start. We cannot possibly hope successfully, have any real hope, for doing better. But we should be able to do better than they did. If we don't, it's just too bad. Someone had better do better, sooner or later. And if it's to be someone else, why are we here? we have reached the point where we can let the waters be gathered together into one place. We can be with one accord in one place. We can yield to the Spirit of God. Let the firmament appear to divide the waters from the waters. We can hear the sound as of a rushing mighty wind. We can let the water be in the sea and let the dry land appear. And it can fill the whole house where we are sitting, right here. Just as well in this hour as any other. But I know you'll probably postpone it a little longer. People always postpone it. They wouldn't let it be today. But it could be now. We could let it reach the surface. We could let the dry land appear. We could let the light of the sun appear. And then we could move on into the 5th day. Doing what has never been done since man fell. By any group of people anywhere. Others have reached the point of the 4th day. But no group of people since the fall has ever passed through the 4th day. Not one in all history on the face of the whole earth. And of individuals, our Lord. He showed the way through the 7 days of the creative cycle. And we're called upon to follow him. People imagine that they're following him when they say, I believe that Jesus died on the cross to save me from my sins. That's sacrilege and blasphemy. And they're not following him. We don't follow him unless we go through the 7-day cycle and finally come to rest in the Father. As he prayed that ye may be one, that they may be one as we are. One. But no one knows that oneness until he reaches the 7th day. The 7th day in the cycle, where you come to rest in God and cease from all your labors. And you don't wake up a few hours later and plunge back into your own labors. Once you leave your labors behind, it is forever. It isn't what day in the week you have for rest. If you do not reach the 7th day, and it has to be the 7th day, the 6th day won't work, the 1st day won't work. Come to the 7th day in the cycle of creation. The 7th step, the point of restoration to oneness. The point where we begin to truly let the Garden of Eden appear again on earth. That's what the Master did, and he said, follow me. The cycle was not completed by the disciples. They spoiled it. They did not let it appear. Man has thrown it away time after time down through the ages. He's doing it still. Unless we go on through the days of creation individually and collectively, we will not come to the day of rest. And unless we come to the day of resting in the Father, we will not have the power. The power started to appear so that they could have their 5th day and their 6th day and come to the 7th day. But would they let it come? No. Impulsive Peter and all the others that followed him went out and started dissipating it, violating every law of God and throwing away the rich blessings which would have changed the world 19 centuries ago. It was not until after that, after all of this waste, after they had failed to let God's will be done on earth as it was in heaven, that the book of Revelation was written. The cycle was opened so that man would have another chance. And we are living in the days of that chance. That's why I'm here. That's why you are here. One more chance. And if man doesn't take this one, he'll destroy himself. Not because God so ordained it, but there's no other way of reaching man. And all of the religious concepts in the world mean nothing from the standpoint of the coming of the kingdom or the fulfillment of the will of God, the outworking of the 7 days of creation in man, that we might come to the Sabbath. You can't have a Sabbath just by resting on Saturday or Sunday. That's not the Sabbath. The Sabbath is that step in the creative cycles where you come to rest in God, where you have finished all of your labors, and from thence forward you let the Father do the works. So, the question is, what will we do about it? What will you do about it? How important is it? Is something else more important than going through this creative cycle and reaching the 7th day, the Sabbath, where we come to rest with one accord in one place? I couldn't begin to describe to you the joy and the glory and the wonder of that privilege of coming to the Sabbath, the real day of rest. The things of God restored on earth, and you restored to the state of divine men and women.